Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly, watching the world go by and wondering, why does it still feel heavy? You've lived decades. You've raised children, worked hard, endured loss, celebrated love, and witnessed a world that changed faster than anyone could have imagined. You made it through it all. So why now, in these years that were supposed to be your most peaceful, does it still feel like you're carrying something? The truth is, sometimes it's not your body that's tired. It's your spirit. It's the weight of things you no longer need, but haven't let go of. And that's okay. Because today, we're going to talk heart to heart about something that could change the way you feel, starting right now. Not by adding more to your life, but by slowly, gently releasing what's been quietly holding you back. You see, we've all been told that happiness comes from gaining hobbies, gaining people, gaining a purpose. But there comes a point in life, especially after 60, 70, or 80, when the real joy doesn't come from adding. It comes from subtracting, letting go of the thoughts, habits, and expectations that no longer serve the person you are today. You've earned your peace. You've earned your freedom. So let's begin lightening that load together. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt curious? Like a child discovering something for the very first time. Somewhere along the way, we're told that aging means we've learned everything we need to know, that we've seen it all. And yes, you've seen plenty. Wars and weddings, grandchildren born, inventions that reshape the world. Maybe even a few heartaches that still echo. But here's a secret not many people talk about. The people who stay happiest in their golden years aren't the ones who know it all. They're the ones who still believe they don't. If you tell yourself there's nothing left to learn, nothing new to experience, then life starts to feel like a closed book. But if you leave even one page open, one chapter waiting to be written, your days become filled with possibility. It could be something small, reading a book on a topic you never explored before, joining a discussion group just to hear other viewpoints, or even learning how to use a new gadget your grandkids keep talking about. It's not about mastering it. It's about keeping your mind and your heart curious, because a curious mind is a young mind, and a young mind keeps the soul alive. You're not done growing. You're just getting started in a new way. Now let's talk about something a little harder, but just as important. There are people in your life right now who may not be good for you. Maybe they never were. Or maybe something changed, and yet you still hold space for them. Out of loyalty, guilt, or simply because it's always been that way. I want to tell you something you may have never heard before, especially if you're the kind of person who always puts others first. You do not owe anyone your peace. Read that again if you need to. You do not owe anyone your peace, not even if they're family, not even if they say they mean well. If someone constantly drains you, belittles you, makes you feel small or invisible, you have every right to protect yourself from that energy. I know that can be hard to hear, especially if it's someone close. A child, a sibling, a lifelong friend. But peace isn't something you should have to fight for in your own home or your own heart. And at this point in your life, you've earned the right to surround yourself only with those who lift you up, who listen without judging, and who celebrate the person you've become. Letting go of toxic relationships isn't selfish. It's necessary. You're not being cruel by setting boundaries. You're being kind to yourself. And if no one's ever told you this, let me be the one to say it. You're allowed to walk away from anyone who doesn't treat your presence like a gift, because it is. Now take a breath with me. This next one is something we all carry, often without even noticing. Walk into your living room, your closet, your mind. What do you see? A box of old clothes that haven't fit for years. A drawer of things you keep just in case. Shelves stacked with memories that no longer bring you joy, only dust. And then, quietly beneath that clutter, regrets you've been holding on to. Guilt you've never named. Conversations that never happened but live rent-free in your mind. All of that? It adds weight. Not the kind your doctor talks about, but the kind that wears you down just the same. You don't have to hold it all. Start small. Donate a few things. Clear a space. Write a letter you'll never send. Say out loud something you've been afraid to admit, even if it's just to the bathroom mirror. You deserve a space. Inside and outside. That feels light. That feels like it belongs to the person you are now, not who you were decades ago. There's something so healing about opening a drawer and seeing space instead of clutter, or waking up and feeling like nothing is weighing on your chest. Not a thing unsaid, not a room you've been avoiding, not a memory you keep tripping over. When you clear out the physical and emotional cobwebs, something magical happens. You start to breathe differently. You start to move differently. You start to live differently. And don't let anyone tell you it's too late to do that. It's not. In fact, it may be the perfect time. Because there's one more weight many of us carry. And we don't even realize it's there until it starts stealing our joy day by day. It's a quiet fear. The fear of aging itself. We're told from a young age that aging means decline. That gray hairs and slower steps mean we're fading. That somehow, after a certain number of candles on the cake, we're no longer as valuable, as visible, or as full of life. But here's what I want you to know. Aging is not the end of your story. It's the deepening of it. Every wrinkle on your face is a sentence in your autobiography. Every scar is a survival badge. Every gray hair is a thread of wisdom. The culture may try to tell you to reverse your age, but I say, wear it with pride. You've earned every year, and every year has made you stronger, not weaker. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not less. You are becoming. You know, one of the hardest things to admit, especially after a lifetime of giving, raising, sacrificing, is this: no one else can make you happy. Not your children, not your spouse, not your friends, not even your community. And that can feel like a heavy truth. For decades, you may have poured your love into everyone else, thinking that someday it would come back to fill your own cup. But here's the shift that can change everything. Happiness is no longer something you wait for. It's something you create. You don't need a full dinner table every Sunday to feel joy. You don't need constant phone calls or praise or invitations to feel like you matter. You already matter. And you already have everything you need to begin again, right where you are. The happiest people in their golden years aren't the ones with the biggest families or the busiest schedules. They're the ones who decided to take their joy into their own hands. They try something new, not because they have to, but because they want to feel alive again. They take a walk not because it's on a checklist, but because the breeze feels good on their skin. They join a painting class or plant flowers or pick up a book of poetry because they're curious, not to impress anyone, but to nourish their own spirit. And you know what's beautiful about that kind of happiness? It doesn't depend on anyone else. It can't be taken away. When joy comes from within, it lasts. So maybe this week, instead of waiting for someone to knock on your door or call your phone, ask yourself, what would bring me joy today, just for me? Maybe it's music from your youth playing while you tidy the house. Maybe it's baking something you haven't made in years. Maybe it's sitting outside in the quiet and noticing the world again. Whatever it is, small or big, choose it. let it be yours. And please, don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself to those younger than you. That comparison, it's a thief. It steals your peace. It tricks you into thinking you're supposed to look, move, or feel the way you did at 30 or 40. But let me ask you, why should you? You've already been there. That version of you had youth, yes. But you have depth. You have stories. You have the kind of strength that can't be seen in a mirror, but can be felt in your presence, in your words, in your wisdom, social media, television, the world outside. They love to shout about youth. Be younger. Look younger. Act younger. But you, my friend, were never meant to compete with your past. You're not behind, you're beyond. And the truth is, your presence in this world has more value now than ever. You've weathered storms, loved through pain, and made it through moments that would have crushed someone else. So when you walk into a room, you carry not just a body, but a legacy. Let the younger generation run their race. You've already run yours. Now's the time to walk slowly, proudly, and fully into your own space. This stage of life isn't about proving yourself. It's about enjoying yourself. And maybe enjoying yourself also means releasing something else, something far heavier than we realize. Regret. We all have it. Every single one of us. That moment we wish we'd spoken up. That decision we would undo in a heartbeat. That relationship we wish had ended differently. And those regrets, they cling to us like shadows, quiet, but heavy. They age our hearts in ways even time can't. But here's something I want you to hear clearly. Regret is not a punishment. It's a lesson. And once you've learned what it had to teach you, you don't need to carry it anymore. You did the best you could with what you had and what you knew at the time. That's not an excuse. That's a truth. You've grown since then. You've changed. So holding on to regret now is like wearing clothes that no longer fit. They only restrict you. They don't serve who you've become. Forgive yourself. Let the past be part of your story, not your burden. Speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend, with gentleness, with understanding, with love. You've survived too much to live in shame. You've lost too much to keep losing yourself in guilt. And when those old memories rise up, and they will, don't fight them. Acknowledge them. Honor them. And then gently say, I release you. I am not who I was then. I am who I am now. You are still becoming. You are still shaping this chapter. And the beauty of this chapter? You have the pen. So take this breath right now and let it be your reset. Let go of the comparison. Let go of the waiting. Let go of the regret. You are not too late. You are right on time. There's a quiet lie that many people begin to believe as they age. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And the whisper goes something like this. It's too late for me. Too late to try something new. Too late to fall in love. Too late to dream. Too late to matter. But let me ask you something. From one soul to another. Who told you that? Where did that idea come from? Because if you stop and really listen to your heart, not your fears, not the headlines, not the expectations of others, but your heart, I think you'll find that it's still beating with a little bit of wonder left, a little bit of hope, a little bit of, maybe I'm not done yet. And you're not. It is not too late. You may be 60, 70, 80, or 90. You may walk slower than you used to. You may forget things now and then. You may carry a few more aches and a few more scars. But you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still capable of moments that make your eyes sparkle and your chest feel full. Don't let the calendar rob you of your courage. There are people in their 70s who fall in love again. And not just with a person, but with life. With travel, with music, with painting, with purpose. There are people in their 80s writing books, planting gardens, starting new morning routines. People in their 90s learning how to make videos, sharing their stories with the world. What all of them have in common isn't youth. It's the refusal to let the clock define what is possible. Maybe you've had dreams that got buried under the weight of responsibility. Maybe your best ideas were put on the shelf while you raised children, paid bills, took care of others. Maybe your spark got dimmed somewhere along the way. That's okay. That's human. But here's the good news. You're allowed to reach for that dream again. You're allowed to dust off the parts of yourself that were put away too long. You are allowed to start now. In fact, this might be the best time. There's a kind of freedom that comes with age. You no longer care what everyone thinks. You've lived enough to know that life doesn't wait for perfect timing. You understand deep down that joy is not something handed to you. It's something you claim. So write the story. Take the trip. Call the person. Dance in your living room. Join the choir. Start the thing you said you were too old for. Because you're not too old. You're just getting bold. There's something else I want you to know. Something simple. Something true. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not past your prime. You are becoming. Still. Even now. Especially now. And sometimes becoming means letting go. Letting go of the fear. Letting go of the guilt. Letting go of the clutter, the noise, the impossible expectations, the toxic people, the old beliefs, the regret, and that quiet lie that says you're done. You're not done. You're evolving. You're still writing the story. And guess what? This chapter, this one right here, could be the most powerful one yet. Because now you're not living to impress anyone. You're not proving anything. You're living for you. So maybe today's the day you put your hand on your chest and say it out loud. I am free. Free from the heaviness I didn't even know I was carrying. Free to choose peace. Free to start again. Free to live the rest of my life in a way that honors who I truly am. And if something in this video made you pause, if it made your eyes well up or your shoulders drop or your heart feel just a little lighter, I want you to do something small but meaningful. Just write one word in the comments. Free. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your reminder to yourself, and maybe even to someone else who needs to see it, that you are choosing to release what no longer serves you. You are choosing to embrace the joy that's been waiting for you all along. And if this message touched you, if it made you feel seen, I'd love it if you gave this video a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who might need it. And if you want more content that speaks straight to your heart and helps you live stronger, lighter, and happier in your golden years, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right here on Strong Elderly Life. Because this isn't just a video. This is a conversation, a community, a reminder that you're not alone. We're in this together. And the best part? We're just getting started. Here's to living your best life at any age. Here's to letting go. And here's to you, free, wise, and beautifully becoming.